Nas's journey is like a gripping tale, full of soaring highs and gripping lows. When he dropped his first amazing album, Illmatic, it was like a lightning bolt in hip-hop history. But behind the bright lights and applause, there were dark clouds of tragedy and fights, with the law that would define who Nas really was. From devastating family losses, to the stress of facing judgment in court, and even getting himself into hot water with a certain foreign government, Nas's story is like a wild roller coaster, keeping everyone on the edge of their seats with its unexpected twists and turns. Family loss. Nas's life was full of success, but like every great story, there are ups and there are downs. Despite his stardom, Nas did in fact have to deal with quite a number of struggles. In the spring of 2002, Nas faced a devastating loss when his mother succumbed to cancer. The pain of her passing was unbearable, and Nas held her in his arms as she took her last breath. Struggling to cope with the overwhelming grief, Nas turned to music as a source of solace and strength. He poured his heart and soul into his work, releasing an album titled God's Son a year later as a tribute to his beloved mother. The album focused on his life's trials and tribulations, offering a glimpse into Nas's innermost thoughts and emotions during this dark period. Despite the sorrow that weighed heavily on his heart, Nas's music resonated with audiences worldwide. God's Son soared to the top of the charts, reaching #1 on Billboard's Hot 100, a testament to the power of his artistry and the universal themes he explored. One poignant track on the album, Dance, was a musical tribute to his mother, honoring her memory with every heartfelt lyric. Nas's experience is not uncommon in the world of hip-hop, where artists often channel their pain and loss into their music. Another rapper who has faced a similar tragedy is Famous Dex, who tragically lost his mother to stage 4 breast cancer in 2014. Famous Dex found solace in his music despite his heartache, dedicating himself to his craft with unwavering determination. In the years that followed, Famous Dex's talent and perseverance caught the attention of industry heavyweights, leading to a record deal with Atlanta Records and 300 Entertainment in 2014. With his unique blend of lyrical prowess and infectious energy, Famous Dex quickly made a name for himself in the hip-hop scene. He released his debut solo album, Dex Meets Dexter, in April 2018, showcasing his raw talent and undeniable charisma to the world. Again, in a somber tweet, Chance the Rapper opened up about the illness that had touched his family, hoping to shed light on a difficult topic. Despite the personal struggles, Chance's album Coloring Book soared to the top of the charts, peaking at #1 on Billboard's R&B/hip-hop catalog albums, a bittersweet achievement in the midst of hardship. Besides these, there have been several other rappers who've lost loved ones to cancer, who used their influence to tell the world about the dangers of breast cancer. But turning back to Nas's tumultuous life, on June 15, 1994, his ex-fiancée Carmen Bryant gave birth to their daughter Destiny. Their joy was soon overshadowed by a bitter custody battle over little Destiny's future. In January 2005, Nas entered into marriage with R&B singer Kellis in Atlanta after a 2-year courtship. However, the union was short-lived, and on April 30th, 2009, Kellis filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. The birth of Nas's first son on July 21st, 2009, should have been a moment of celebration, but it was marred by conflict as Nas announced the birth of his son, Knight, against Kellis's wishes, further straining their already fractured relationship. Their divorce was finalized on May 21st, 2010, with the painful aftermath captured in Nas's poignant song, Bye Baby, and its accompanying music video, where he somberly held Kellis's wedding dress, a symbol of their shattered dreams. In 2018, Kellis made shocking allegations of physical and mental abuse against Nas during their marriage. Nas vehemently denied these accusations, claiming they were fabricated to harm him in their ongoing custody battle and accusing Kellis of mistreating their daughter Destiny. Nas and Kellis found themselves embroiled in a bitter dispute over child support and custody arrangements for their son. Venting his frustrations on Instagram, Nas detailed the irreconcilable differences that had torn their relationship apart in a heartfelt 7-part series of posts. Nas candidly revealed the challenges he faced in trying to maintain a relationship with his son, admitting to paying just to spend time with him. He also described Kellis's verbal abuse and jealousy towards his daughter, whom he had raised to be a strong and independent young woman. Nas lamented the toll that the ongoing conflict had taken on his professional relationships, revealing that he had lost several key collaborators and business associates due to Kellis's hostile behavior. According to Nas, it was Kellis who was the aggressor in their marriage, with incidents of physical violence directed towards him. Nas recounted one particularly disturbing episode where Kellis's stepfather had to intervene to prevent her from attacking him during a confrontation outside her home. According to Nas, Kellis often denied him the chance to spend time with their son, citing various reasons such as her parents being in town. Even their son was puzzled by her treatment of Nas. Nas recounted the toll Kellis's behavior took on his professional relationships, with producers, writers, music attorneys, and record executives feeling the brunt of her mean-spirited actions and ultimately severing ties with her. Nas even distanced himself from friends who couldn't tolerate Kellis's presence. He revealed how Kellis would manipulate situations, such as turning off his phone to prevent his professional contacts from reaching him. Her insults affected everyone in Nas's life, leaving him feeling isolated and unsupported in the face of her hostility. Nas's life has been marred by tragedy and turmoil, from the heartbreaking loss of his mother to cancer, to bitter custody battles and turbulent relationships. He has endured immense pain and sorrow. Despite his success in the music industry, Nas has faced personal struggles, including allegations of abuse and manipulation from former partners. His journey has been fraught with challenges, leaving him isolated and disillusioned, with the scars of his past weighing heavily on his heart. Yet through it all, Nas continues to channel his experiences into his music, using his art as a means of catharsis and self-expression in the face of adversity. Issues with the industry gatekeepers. The feud with Jay-Z had once seemed an existential threat to Nas's career. This historic rivalry between Nas and Jay-Z wasn't just a clash of musical prowess, it was a battle for the very essence of New York hip-hop, a saga that captivated audiences worldwide. The feud began with subtle hints and veiled insults exchanged in their songs, but it erupted into full-blown warfare when Jay-Z unleashed his scathing track Takeover during the iconic Summer Jam of 2001. With lyrics that cut like knives, Jay-Z directly challenged Nas's reputation and questioned his relevance since his groundbreaking debut album Illmatic. But Nas, undaunted by Jay-Z's brazen attack, rose to the challenge with a vengeance. In December of the same year, he unleashed his devastating response, Ether. Ether became a cultural moment, a symbol of defiance that resonated with fans and critics alike. This wasn't just music, it was a cultural earthquake, with Nas at the epicenter. This epic track, featured on his album Stillmatic, was a verbal onslaught of epic proportions, leaving no stone unturned, as Nas fiercely defended his honor and legacy. Without Nas's extraordinary lyrical prowess, his feud with Jay-Z could have cost him his career, a fate often met by those who challenge industry gatekeepers of Jay-Z's caliber. Nas's career did eventually stagnate when he got involved with another oracle in the hip-hop industry, Sean Diddy Combs. The second song on the album, I Am, was Hate Me Now, featuring Diddy. Some people said this song showed Nas was starting to make music that was more about selling than about art. The music video showed Nas and Diddy being treated like Jesus Christ, but Diddy didn't like how he looked in the video, so he asked for his parts to be taken out. But the original video still ended up on MTV. Soon after it aired, Diddy and his bodyguards went to Steve Stout's office and hurt him. At one point during the altercation, Stout got hit on his head with a champagne bottle. According to Stout, he was punched in the face, bashed in the head with a telephone, and had a chair flung at him. Stout went to the police, but he and Combs agreed to solve the problem without going to court. Columbia Records was going to release songs from I Am again as Nostradamus later in 1999. But at the last minute, Nas decided to make a whole new album instead. Nostradamus was rushed to be ready by November. Critics didn't like it much, but one song, You Owe Me, did all right. People worried that Nas's music wasn't as good as it used to be. Both I Am and Nostradamus got criticized for being all over the place and too focused on making money. The altercation at Stout's office wouldn't be the only time Diddy was associated with violence. He was also said to have been violent with his romantic partners like Kim Porter and Cassie Ventura. Speculations flew around that the tragic demise of Kim Porter, Diddy's late ex-wife, just didn't feel right. Porter, a model and actress, entered Diddy's life in the 1990s, and their romance would span more than a decade, enduring the turbulence of the music industry and the scrutiny of the public eye. Together, they welcomed 3 children into the world, but their union was not without its trials. The couple's relationship was tested when Porter discovered, while pregnant with their twin daughters, that Diddy had fathered another child with Sarah Chapman. This revelation sent shockwaves through their lives, leading to a tumultuous breakup that would forever alter the course of their family story. The whispers of scandal grew louder when Gene Deal, a former bodyguard of Diddy's, came forward with damning allegations. Deal claimed that Diddy had a history of physical abuse towards his girlfriends, including Kim Porter. These accusations added a sinister undertone to the already complex narrative of Diddy's relationships, suggesting a pattern of behavior that went beyond the typical tabloid fodder. As the years passed, the relationship between Diddy and Porter seemed to evolve into a more amicable co-parenting arrangement until the unexpected tragedy struck in 2018. Porter's untimely death due to complications from pneumonia left many questions unanswered, with some speculating that there was more to the story than met the eye. Rumors swirled that Porter had been planning to release a tell-all book, potentially revealing secrets that could shake the foundations of Diddy's empire. The early scandals set the stage for a legacy of controversy that would follow Diddy, casting a long shadow over his career and personal life. Another scandal Diddy has been embroiled in is a recent sexual assault accusation from a former love interest, Cassie Ventura. In this seismic shift that has sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry, the hip-hop mogul finds himself at the center of a scandal that has the potential to tarnish his illustrious career. The lawsuit filed by Cassie against Diddy is a document that lays bare a series of grave allegations, each more disturbing than the last. At the heart of these accusations is the claim that Combs used his position of power to coerce Cassie Ventura into a decade of sexual exploitation and psychological torment. Cassie's narrative begins with her ascent into the music industry, a journey that was inextricably linked to Combs from the moment she signed with Bad Boy Records. The lawsuit alleges that Combs, leveraging his influence as her mentor and label head, induced Cassie into a sexual relationship. One of the most harrowing accusations is that Combs raped Cassie in her own home after she attempted to end their relationship. This alleged act of violence is said to have been a pivotal moment, one that left Cassie feeling trapped and powerless within the orbit of Combs' influence. The lawsuit goes on to describe how Combs' jealousy manifested in violent outbursts, including an incident where he is accused of destroying another man's car with an explosive device after learning of the man's romantic interest in Cassie. The abuse, according to the lawsuit, was not limited to physical violence. Cassie claims that Combs introduced her to a lifestyle rife with excessive alcohol and substance abuse, pushing her to procure illicit prescriptions to feed his own addictions. This environment of substance abuse is alleged to have been a tool for Combs to further exert control over Cassie, keeping her in a state of dependency and vulnerability. Perhaps the most shocking claim is that Combs forced Cassie to engage in sex acts with male sex workers while he watched and filmed the encounters. These acts, the lawsuit alleges, were not consensual and were a form of sexual exploitation that Combs orchestrated for his own gratification. The psychological toll of these alleged abuses on Cassie was profound. The lawsuit suggests that the trauma she endured has had a lasting impact on her life and career, casting a long shadow over her personal and professional endeavors. The fear and intimidation she experienced are said to have been compounded by the knowledge that Combs' staff and employees were witnesses to the abuse but remained silent, either out of loyalty or fear of reprisal from their powerful employer. Diddy's violence ended up forcing Nas to record an entirely new album for the release of Nostradamus and wound up rushing it to meet a tight release schedule. This album would go on to be known as Nas's weakest effort. Nas, on the other hand, managed to keep his career going after a big fight with Jay-Z, but not everyone who got on Jay-Z's bad side was so lucky. Take Tory Lanez, for example. Tory's dad blamed Jay-Z for Tory getting in trouble for shooting Megan Thee Stallion in the foot because Jay-Z had signed Megan to his label earlier that year. Tory's dad, Sunstar Peterson, accused Jay-Z of doing something bad, saying Jay-Z had traded away young men's futures.
You, Jay-Z, but you have traded and bartered the souls of young men.
It's not clear exactly what he meant, but he might have been saying that Jay-Z's label paid for Megan's lawyers. Tory, who was 30 at the time, was faced with a possible jail time of up to 18 years. When the jury said he was guilty, he didn't show any feelings. Outside the courthouse, his dad was furious, saying the verdict was the worst injustice ever. Some women who supported Tory cried openly. He wore a pink coat, a white turtleneck, and pink pants, looking shocked next to his lawyers. His stepmom yelled, "We love you, baby," as he was taken away in handcuffs. After 10 days of trial and a day and a half of thinking, the jury decided Tory was guilty of 3 serious crimes: hurting someone with a gun, shooting a gun in a really dangerous way, and having a hidden gun in a car. The most serious crime carried a jail term of 9 years, and the other 2 added up to 6 more. Tory, who's from Canada, also faced deportation. He said he didn't do it, but the jury wasn't buying it. Now, not only is Tory's career at risk, but his freedom is also at stake. The lesson is, don't mess with the rulers of the industry. Legal issues. In September 2009, the U.S. Internal Revenue Service went after Nas for over $2.5 million in unpaid taxes from 2006. By early 2011, it had grown to over $6.4 million. In 2012, news broke that the IRS was going after Nas's earnings from BMI and ASCAP to pay off his overdue taxes, filing papers in Georgia for garnishment until the bill was cleared. It's not uncommon for celebrities like Nas to owe the IRS. Several artists have found themselves on the IRS wanted list for owing humongous amounts in taxes. Lil Wayne, despite his towering success, encountered IRS troubles during his career. However, with Jay-Z's assistance, he managed to overcome these challenges. Between 2011 and 2012, Lil Wayne found himself facing a significant amount of unpaid taxes. According to court documents, the IRS placed two separate liens against the Go DJ rapper. One lien, dated 2011, amounted to over $7 million, while the other, from 2012, was for $6.8 million, bringing the total owed to $14,194,944. A 2018 report from USA Today highlighted Lil Wayne's expression of gratitude to Jay-Z for stepping in and aiding him in resolving his tax debts. Another artist that landed himself in hot water with the IRS was Flo Rida. Despite hits like Low and Elevator raking in money, rapper Flo Rida's hip-hop dreams of wealth almost completely faded. While his success once seemed endless, recent reports suggest he faced a hefty unpaid tax bill. Gossip Extra reveals that the then 32-year-old owed the IRS over $1 million, with a lien against his South Florida estate. Legal documents filed in Miami-Dade County Court shed light on the situation. Flo Rida, whose real name is Traymar Dillard, allegedly hadn't filed taxes since 2009 till 2012, after having purchased his $1.6 million property. This financial hiccup starkly contrasted his past glory on the music charts. Flo Rida joined a list of celebrities facing IRS issues, but it wasn't just taxes weighing on the rapper at the time. He was also caught in a legal battle with ADT, a top U.S. home security company. ADT wired Flo's mansion with a $58,000 security system boasting state-of-the-art features like sensors, smoke detectors, and 27 cameras. In court, ADT presented a contract signed by Flo's reported manager, Lee Prince. While an initial payment of $19,366.66 was made, ADT claimed the remaining $38,733 was outstanding. This added to Flo's legal woes, marking a challenging period for the once thriving artist amidst financial and contractual disputes. ADT wasn't just seeking payment for their services, they were also requesting interest, totaling $47,134.40. However, Flo Rida denied authorizing the job. He argued that since the contract bore his manager's signature, the responsibility for payment didn't lay on him. Fat Joe was not left out among the rappers on the IRS's radar, and he actually was slammed with jail time for his tax negligence. Fat Joe received a 4-month federal prison sentence and a $15,000 fine for neglecting to file income tax returns on earnings exceeding $3.3 million. He pleaded guilty to 2 counts of IRS non-compliance in December, risking up to 2 years behind bars. Yet, U.S. Magistrate Judge Kathy Waldor showed compassion due to Fat Joe's prior payment of $718,000 in back taxes and his philanthropy, which included donating computers to local schools. Initially accused of 4 years of tax evasion, Fat Joe's charges were reduced to 2 years in a plea deal. His income sources included Terror Squad Production Inc., Miramar Music Touring, and hits like 2004's Leanback. Reflecting on his actions, Fat Joe accepted responsibility. There was a lot going on in the years that I didn't file my taxes, but it was my responsibility. This chapter in Fat Joe's life underscores the importance of fulfilling tax obligations and the consequences of neglecting them, despite his attempts to make amends through charity and restitution. Even R. Kelly faced the wrath of the IRS, thanks to the whopping amount of money he owed at one point. R. Kelly was the subject of a tax probe, joining a list of U.S. megastars under scrutiny. The 45-year-old R&B singer reportedly owed nearly $5 million, 3.2 million pounds, in back taxes. According to the Chicago Sun-Times, the Cook County Recorder of Deeds documents revealed Kelly's IRS tax debt dating back to 2005. This financial issue added to the singer's woes, as he had to sell his Chicago mansion the previous year. In 2008, Kelly reportedly paid $2.6 million, 1.6 million pounds, in back taxes, and another $1 million, 640,000 pounds, the following year. However, he still remained $4.8 million, 2.9 million pounds, in debt to the federal government. Despite these challenges, Kelly's spokesman Alan Mayer claimed last year that the singer did not face serious financial troubles. In addition to his tax issues, Nas found himself in a legal quandary in Angola. In January 2012, Nas was involved in a dispute with a concert promoter in Angola, having accepted $300,000 for a concert in Luanda, Angola's capital, for New Year's Eve, and then not showing up. Surprisingly, Angola seemed to be extremely dedicated to entertainment, as they apprehended the show promoters, insisting that Nas had to show up. This ordeal unfolded over a harrowing 44 days after Nas failed to fulfill his commitment to perform at a concert in the Southern African nation. Allegedly, Nas and budding rapper Jemiah Jai accepted a substantial advance payment of $315,000 for the New Year's shows slated to take place in Luanda, the capital of Angola. However, to the dismay of all parties involved, Nas never boarded the plane to fulfill his obligations. This unfortunate unfortunate turn of events left American concert promoter Patrick Aloco and his son Patrick embroiled in a nightmarish dispute with an irate Angolan promoter and his armed associates. Abby Aloco, the distraught wife and mother, voiced her disbelief, stating that they're being held for something that somebody else did is preposterous. On New Year's Eve, as it became apparent that the concert would not hold, the Alacos hastily sought refuge at the American embassy, hoping for assistance. However, their cab ride took an unexpected turn when the driver made an unscheduled stop at a supermarket. Sensing danger, son whispered to his father, hinting that they were in a dangerous situation and advised that they leave immediately. Yet their escape attempt was blocked as 20 armed individuals wielding AK-47 machine guns surrounded their taxi. Despite their efforts to seek sanctuary, the Alacos were forcibly returned to their hotel and held against their will. As days turned into weeks, negotiations between the promoters and authorities stalled, prolonging the Alacos' nightmarish ordeal. With each passing day, the hope for a swift resolution dwindled, leaving the Alacos trapped in a precarious situation far from home. As the tense situation escalated, the thugs, sporting t-shirts bearing the name of Angolan promoter Henrique Miguel's company Casablanca Entertainment, issued ominous warnings, sending shivers down Alaco's spine. Sadly, one of the gunmen viciously assaulted young Patrick, slamming his head against an SUV before forcing both men into the back seat. Fearing for their lives, the Alacos grappled with the grim reality of their abduction. Behind the wheel of the SUV, Miguel wasted no time, speeding away from the scene. Frantically, the senior Alaco dialed the embassy, leaving the line open as they were whisked away, and Alaco was able to urgently inform embassy officials that they were being abducted. Their ordeal took an alarming turn as Miguel and his cohorts brought them to a light blue, one-story concrete building, the local police station. There, they faced interrogation by local officers, conducted in Portuguese, followed by questioning from the country's federal investigation arm, the DNIC. The English-speaking officer, demanding answers, pressed about Nas's involvement, wondering if the rapper was still going to show up. He urged them to call him and tell him to come, insisting that they still wanted Nas to come. After enduring 6.5 harrowing hours, the Alacos were finally released, yet they were barred from leaving the country, despite never facing charges. Their passports, confiscated upon entry, remained in official custody, leaving them stranded in a foreign land, grappling with the aftermath of their traumatic experience. Amid the turmoil, a public prosecutor presented a daunting ultimatum to the younger Aloco: repay $300,000 or remain in custody. However, the Angolan promoter escalated the demands, insisting on an additional $75,000. With their financial resources drained, the Alacos found themselves unable to meet the escalating demands. Depleted by $40,000 in communication costs with American authorities and exorbitant prices for basic necessities, where a hamburger cost a staggering $1.45, their financial reserves dwindled rapidly. After enduring 3 weeks of uncertainty, relief seemed within reach when Nas finally settled his $300,000 debt. Yet complications persisted as Jemiah Jai refused to return the $15,000 she received. Despite a glimmer of hope, the Alacos' ordeal took a horrifying turn when locals purportedly celebrated the junior Alaco's imminent release, only to restrain him and demand further payment. Taunts echoed as they demanded $10,000, leaving the senior Alaco reeling from the ordeal. Throughout their confinement at the modest Epixana Hotel, where amenities were basic yet costly at $500 per night, the Alacos remained isolated from the outside world. By month's end, Nas had repaid the entirety of his debt, bringing a semblance of closure to their tumultuous saga. Finally, after enduring 49 days of travel restrictions, the Alacos were granted freedom, marking the end of their harrowing ordeal in Angola. Despite his successful career, Nas's life consisted of tragedy and a lot of legal entanglements. From the loss of his mother to cancer to bitter custody battles and turbulent relationships, his journey is fraught with pain and sorrow. Yet, amid the darkness, Nas channels his experiences into his music, offering a glimpse into his soul through his art. His story is marked by legal battles, financial struggles, and clashes within the industry, revealing the challenges that come with fame and fortune. If you enjoyed watching this video, be sure to check our other similar and amazing videos on the screen. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.